Illinois fresh off just its third conference road win over a top 10 team in the last 50 years, knocking off Penn State 20-18 in 9 overtimes on Saturday in State College. Brandon Peters to Casey Washington for the game-winning score. It was the longest game in terms of the number of overtimes in college football history, and win number 3 for the Illini under first-year coach Bret Bielema, who joins us now. He is today's big interview here on Big Ten Today. And Coach, you have won some big games. You won multiple Big Ten titles at Wisconsin. But where does this win stand in terms of the most memorable games that you have been a part of?
You know, I'm sure when we reflect back after the season, maybe even, a couple of years down the road, we'll see this as a big moment. Kind of what you said, like I told our kids on that plane going on that plane ride over there, 74 guys are go to expect success, right? That wasn't a fluke what we did. 9 overtimes, the way that we ran the ball, the way we controlled the ball on defense, it wasn't a fluke. And I made those guys understand that was an earned victory on Sunday. After the game, the hoopla, the energy was overwhelming. And I'd been in those moments and I didn't realize how big a deal it was until I kind of sat down with Josh Whitman, our AD, and he's like, Brett, that's happened 3 times in 50 years. He hadn't experienced it as an AD, and our players surely hadn't experienced it. So I really have to be guarded with our players, especially today in a meeting, right? That's more of the expectation, not the exception. And I need to keep driving that into their mind and in their heart and into their soul, and really with our fan base, everybody in our building. This has got to be the standard. It's not the exception, and that's got to be a process.
What does it say more broadly about the direction that your program's taking, Brett?
Well, I do like the steps we've made, right? Like there's been some setbacks. So we're a 3-5 team. It hasn't been a bed of roses, but I like the daily progress. I thought Wednesday during our bye week now 2 weeks ago, that was probably one of the more accomplished practices that we've had. Just the physical intensity, the coaching, the response from our players, the energy. I knew we were trending in the right direction. I've been a part of a couple of these, when I was with Kirk at Iowa when he turned it, and then when I was at Arkansas when we turned it into a couple 3 straight bowl games. Like I know when it's beginning to turn and I can feel it. We're not quite there yet. Dave, one of the things that's unwritten is we had 3 guys go down offensively during the course of that game. Badarian Lowe, who's a great player for us, went down. Pilstrom came in, did unbelievable. Art Sikowski goes down in the middle of the overtimes. Chase Brown goes down in the middle of the thing. That's 3 offensive starters, and our guys maintained it and sustained it, and that's really special.
It's interesting, Coach, to hear you say you kind of had this sense this thing was about to turn. I mean, for the rest of us who aren't there for practice and don't get to see it day to day, we're sitting there, and I mean, our last image of your team was that game against Wisconsin where you didn't cross midfield until the fourth quarter. So what was it that was going on specifically that led you to think, hey, we're really close and we can go into State College and get a win, whereas the rest of us are thinking, man, they still got a long road ahead?
Yeah, I think a lot of it really gets down to each week, right? Your preparation, the matchup, what you see, what you feel. I thought for us going over to Penn State, that was a good matchup for us in all 3 phases. I really liked our plan. Obviously, Wisconsin, defensively did some things. We really didn't play poorly on defense against Wisconsin. Special teams executed. We didn't do what we needed to do offensively. We really addressed that and attacked that in a beast mode fashion. So, again, it's a work in progress. I really like the way our guys have responded to everything we're doing today. I literally just walked off the field from our Tuesday practice, which is a lot of early down red area, a little emphasis on third down in our preparation for Rutgers. And I like the way they responded today. But tomorrow is a more important day because it's Wednesday and we got to get that much better.
Before we leave the Penn State game, I need to get your take on the overtime format. What do you think?
Yeah. You know what, Dave? It's really obviously a 9 overtime sounds like a lot, and it is. Some of our offensive players played over 100 snaps when you start taking in everything cumulative. But I would tell you, I was sitting there Saturday night on the couch with my wife, and they flashed up on the screen the 6 longest overtimes in college football history. And I've been a part of 3 of them, a long one at Auburn, a long one versus at Ole Miss. And then this one, obviously, I've been able to fortunately win all 3 as well. So I probably have a different perspective. But I thought the changing suddenly from the format we knew to the 2-point, everything was just every other play, really kept the game moving and kept the players involved, kept the players engaged. As a head coach, you kind of always have to be ahead. So when we were on the offensive snap, I was actually working on the defensive side and vice versa. So I really liked it. I think that we probably have to do a few modifications. We were just going back and forth. Penn State wanted it down on their end with the student section. We wanted it away. So, I'm not exactly built for 100-yard jogs, and that was like exactly spending a lot of time going back and forth. But overall, I thought it was very, very positive.
Coach, you made news in the bye week talking about your team in your news conference. I don't necessarily want to go through it and parse the language because I feel like it's been talked out at this point. But it did bring up an interesting point, which is this. Like, what is the balance when you take over a program between inspiring the players that you inherited but didn't recruit? I mean, that's the situation that you are largely in right now, absent maybe, a few guys in and out in the portal or kind of late ads, versus sending a message both internally and externally that, hey, we know what we've got right now isn't good enough and that we need to be better. Where's the balancing act there?
Well, first and foremost, so Penn State was ironic that it came full circle. I went to the Penn State game a year ago and watched a bunch of guys that I didn't know play, right? There were jerseys, there were a roster I didn't know. The next day I met with them for the first time in our team meeting room. I said to them at that time, the word family means a lot to me. And right now I'm coming into your family. You're already here. You're welcoming me in, and I'm going to earn your respect every day. And that's where we've grown. I know there was a lot of hoopla last week, was really a lot of noise outside of the building. Our players know the emotions that we have for them. I said from day one, we were going to try to win as many as we could this year. I wasn't going to try to play one guy to try and get ready for the next year or 2 years from now. And I know they believe that. I saw the emotions from them repeatedly before this past weekend. I've sat with those guys through the triumphs of maybe the Nebraska game, right? And also the heartaches of the Purdue and Maryland game, right? Like I've seen the emotions in their eyes. I've seen the emotion. I felt the emotions in their hearts. I've seen it from their parents. I love my players. You know me well enough, Dave. Like there is never an ill will to my family, a football family here in any way. And I think probably galvanized us a little bit more than ever before. Not that I was trying to motivate. I was talking about recruiting, and that's a whole nother conversation. But the love that I have for my players, and it probably reaffirmed in my mind when that game was done. It was very fortunate to be my 100th career victory. I heard from players from Wisconsin in my first year to my last year at Arkansas, and then all the players that I'm with here at Illinois from my first 3 wins to give me 100. And every one of those relationships I carry not only in my heart and in my mind, it's in my soul, right? And that's just how I'm wired.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win. Looking forward to seeing you guys back on the field Saturday against Rutgers. Thanks so much for your time. Always really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. ILL.